So, next one. Ooh, silliest ways to die. No, silliest ways people died. Darwin Awards, Volume 13 by Curiosity Vault. Let me 1080p, okay.
On the night of October 14th, 2004, a Pinnacle Airlines Bombardier CRJ-200 sat idle at Little Rock National Airport.
Okay.
Pinnacle was a scheduled regional carrier operating flights for Northwest Airlines under the Northwest Airlink banner, connecting smaller cities to major hubs across America. Earlier that day, however, another crew tried to take off on the same plane, but a mechanical issue had forced them to abort their departure. Engineers were sent in, found the problem, fixed it, and signed the plane off. But it wasn't to stay the night in Little Rock. Needed the next morning in Minneapolis, a repositioning flight was planned for that night, with just 2 pilots and no passengers. The captain was 31-year-old Jesse Rhodes, and the first officer, 23-year-old Peter Caesars. Both were young, relatively new to the aircraft, and, as it would turn out, not the type to be left unsupervised.
Oh my god. Oh god. Are you telling me? Are you telling me? Are you telling me these 2 pilots did something stupid by flying a plane and then died?
At around 9:21 p.m., Flight 3701 took off from Little Rock National Airport. The plan was simple: climb to 33,000 feet, relax a bit, and deliver the plane. However, straight and level wouldn't cut it. These 2 Darwinian daredevils had other plans.
Oh god, here it comes.
Audio captured on the flight deck voice recorder indicated the pilots were skylarking, laughing about, joking, and goofing off, and instead of flying normally, for reasons unknown, they even switched seats. Then, spicing it up even further, made a series of aggressive inputs, putting the plane into a steep 10,000 feet per minute climb, which was far more than the 2,500 feet per minute it should have been. Although the plane itself was fine, the problem was the people flying it. At around 9:35 p.m., they contacted air traffic control, requesting permission to climb to 41,000 feet. Although the maximum the aircraft was technically certified to fly, it was far from optimal and well above what was standard. Clearance was given, and when the controller asked them why, the captain answered casually, "We don't have any passengers on board, so we decided to have a little fun." However, as the plane reached 41,000 feet, the thinner atmosphere meant less lift and less airflow over the wings.
And that's when they did something stupid. And then they just crashed. Is that how this is going? I bet it is. How can you be a pilot and not know things like that? I mean, seriously, how can you be a pilot and not know that the air gets thinner the higher you go? And how do you not know this?
Suddenly, as their speed dropped, the stall alarm sounded in the flight deck. Struggling to maintain altitude and without enough airflow to keep them stable, both engines suddenly cut out. With no thrust at 41,000 feet, the correct move was simple: pitch the nose down, build enough speed, and attempt to restart. However, according to the investigators, a series of mistakes by the pilots allowed the plane to lose further altitude without ever gaining the speed needed to restart the engines or get themselves into a position to glide to a nearby runway.
How can they be so stupid? They are pilots, they should know better. They should know better. They really should know better.
Minutes later, with no engines, no plan, and no more chances, gravity finished what they had started. Crashing in a field near Jefferson City, Missouri, both pilots were killed instantly. The investigation pulled no punches. The NTSB found that poor airmanship, disregard for procedures, and an appetite for reckless stunts had sealed their fate. In chasing bragging rights for reaching 41,000 feet, Jesse Rhodes and Peter Caesars joyrode themselves into a silliest ways people died video. Every year since 1776, Americans have marked their independence with fireworks.
What are possibilities how this story will end? Someone puts a firecracker up their butt and it explodes inside of them.
Cookouts, and a proud display of red, white, and blue. From big cities to small towns, the 4th of July is a time to gather, remember history, and celebrate freedom. But with the explosions, the drinks, and the backyard bravado, sometimes freedom goes a little too far. For most, it's minor damage and a good story. But for one man, the celebration ended with a bang, and not the good kind. On the 4th of July 2024, in the quiet town of Summerville, South Carolina, HVAC technician, 41-year-old Ellen Ray McGrew was hosting a neighborhood block party to celebrate the 4th of July weekend. Decked out in a red, white, and blue Uncle Sam suit,
So it was
complete with a top hat, the drinking had started around 6 p.m., with fireworks planned for the evening. Ellen's wife, Paige, said he loved his country and looked forward to celebrating each year. However, at least 4 people were to die from a fireworks-related injury.
4 people died. It's even worse than what I had in mind. 4 people.
That weekend, and, unfortunately, Ellen was to be one of them. According to a New York Post article, Ellen's wife thought he was just kidding around when, at around 10:20 p.m., he placed a large fireworks on top of his hat. She thought he was joking and it hadn't been lit. Tragically though, it had been, and the fireworks display was about to unceremoniously take place on his head.
Wow. I thought the pilots were stupid, but this guy, wow. This is even beyond stupid. This is why would anyone think this is something you would do? How? Jesus Christ. No, people like that they don't deserve pity.
With a loud bang, the fireworks exploded and, according to the same New York Post article, caused massive head trauma that most likely killed him instantly. Paramedics arrived, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. For some useless info to finish off the story, according to the US Consumer Product Safety Commission, almost 10,000 Americans end up in hospital for a fireworks-related injury annually. The good old.
So what do we learn out of this? Don't be stupid with fireworks. And I thought 4 people died. Guess not. But now we have a woman and a bear. Remember? Woman shows the bear over the man. Guess what happens?
Old-fashioned selfie has featured in more than its fair share of silly ways people died. According to one study I read, men outnumbered women 3 to 1 in selfie deaths, and while Russia, the United States, and Pakistan were high achievers, around half of all instances occur in India. While it's one thing to ignore common sense,
I'm not surprised about India. People take selfies with trains that come towards them. I have seen countless of videos of people getting hit by trains and die. Countless. And I feel completely fine about laughing about that. Because they deserve to die. Fuck them.
it's another to ignore several tons of it charging straight at you. The forests of India are home to the Asian elephant, a smaller cousin to the African species, but still a giant by any measure. Males can weigh over 5 tons.
Let me guess. Someone tried to take a selfie with a wild elephant, which is something you should never do. Never take selfies with wild animals, never touch wild animals, never do anything with wild animals, because wild animals are wild animals.
And stand nearly 10 feet tall at the shoulder. Despite their bulk, however, they move with surprising speed, and when they charge, there's little a human can do. On Thursday, the 24th of October 2024, 23-year-old electrician Shrikant Ramchandra Satre and 2 colleagues were laying cables near a forested area in the Gadchiroli district in India. While laying cables, the trio received warning of a wild tusker in the area and to watch out for it. A wild tusker is a large male elephant who is left of the herd to live alone.
You especially get around an elephant bull. Never, 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 never. They can be extremely aggressive. Never get close to them. Especially not in the time where they mate. Never. Never. They will just end you. And they can. It's easy for them to end you. You are nothing to them. A human is to an elephant what a mouse is to a human. You are nothing. They will just crush you. And I mean it literally. They crush you. They crush you with their head, with their feet. You have no chance.
Covering wide ranges in search of food, water, and mates.
Look at that. Would you go and... with that? No. Why would... That thing is taller than the buildings. Stay away from that.
They cross forests and often wander into village borders. And without a herd to temper their behavior, they're often unpredictable and dangerous to anyone who gets too close. In fact, this particular one they had been cautioned about was known as CME3. If CME3 was a human, he would be what we would refer to as a serial killer. According to an article in the Times of India, CME3, over his long life, had been involved in several incidents, resulting in the deaths of at least 6 people.
And that's the one that's in the area of the 3 guys. Great.
Villagers were advised to remain vigilant and avoid areas where the elephant had been sighted. Regardless, instead of taking the advice to watch out for and stay clear of it, Shrikant Ramchandra Satre and his 2 colleagues decided they would actively find it.
Tell me you are low IQ without telling me you are low IQ.
Get up close and take a selfie. However, having established this particular elephant had an anger problem and possibly a bad attitude, it was never going to be in the mood for a selfie, and the situation ended exactly how you'd expect. Mr. Satre was charged, attacked, and trampled to death. Although
I just told you, didn't I? I just told you that that's exactly what they do. He deserved it. I hope he rots now.
Though he did not get his all-important selfie, he put his hand up as a serious contender for the prestigious Darwin Award. In the early 2010s, a strange social media craze swept across the internet.
Planking, alright, yeah. I thought that was stupid back then, and I still think so.
Planking. The idea was simple. Lie face down, stiff as a board, in the most unusual, silly, or riskiest spot you could find, then share a photo online. And, for some, the need to stand out came at a cost. In 2011, Albury briefly claimed the title of planking capital of New South Wales, Australia's most populated state, when a local man was charged for planking after lying face down on a police car parked outside the station. Australian police even went as far as to say, "It's gone crazy. Everywhere you turn, there's someone lying across steps, benches, or cars." Tragically though, that very same month, another young Australian became the face of its consequences.
And do we feel sorry for him? No. Not at all. He deserved it.
Just over the border in Brisbane, 20-year-old Acton Beale returned to his apartment on Main Street in Kangaroo Point after a night out drinking with a friend.
Of
At around
course.
4:30 a.m, wanting to take the planking trend a step further, he climbed onto the 2-inch wide narrow balcony railing of his 7th floor apartment, while his friend
Oh, this is so dumb. Oh, I love natural selection.
stood by to take the photo. Tragically though, laying flat, arms at his side and as stiff as a board, he lost his balance and fell 7 stories to his death, landing on the concrete below. Australian Prime Minister Julia Gillard weighed in on the tragedy, warning young people not to risk their lives for a few seconds of online fame. That's all the stories for today. Let
Yeah, as if what she says would make any difference.
me know in the comments who was today's ultimate Darwin Award winner. If
I don't even know. They were all so stupid.